Welcome back, tuning into today's video. We're going to have a look at weather for the next 8 to 10 days in today's video, which is taking us up to around the 24th of November. Very interesting. Looks like we're going to turn it colder next week. That's been well publicised, of course, but I think this could be setting up quite a prolonged cold spell now. There's certainly signs that high pressure is going to be maintained to the north and the northwest and the northeast of the country for several days. So a prolonged sort of cold spell would be anything below average temperatures going on anything from 5 days or more. So I think we are looking at that sort of prolonged cold weather beyond the 5 days of below average temperatures in the next week to 10 days. Very interesting charts coming up. Now, before I go on with that, just make sure to be advertising. There's video ads on my pages at GavsWeatherBiz.com. If you hit play on the video ad, you'll be supporting GavsWeatherBiz.com, and thanks very much for doing that. Gav Shop is open, so if you want to go to Amazon.co.uk and do your Christmas shopping, go through the Amazon banners in Gav Shop, and you'll arrive at Amazon. You'll be able to do your Christmas shopping as normal, but at the same time, Gavs Weatherbiz will get a royalty fee. Thanks very much for doing that. I know you do these things for the website. I know you play the video ads, and I know that you buy your shopping at Amazon through Gav Shop. Thanks so much for doing that. It does make a big difference because it pays the website. It allows me to sit here and talk to you via the website. So, yeah, thanks very much for doing that. So, starting off with the 500 millibar height anomaly flow charts for 8 to 10 days time. As I say, this is taking us anything up to around the 24th of November. Orange areas indicating above average heights, that's above average temperature at 18,000 feet. Blue colours indicating below average heights, below average temperatures at 18,000 feet. So essentially orange is high pressure and blue is low pressure. Well, we see that on the ECMWF, which is here on the left, and on the GFS, which is over on the right, we've got an anomalous area of above average height sitting to the north of the country at 18,000 feet. In 8 to 10 days time. Quite a big area of above average heights, that extending on the ECMWF anyway, extending from the far north of Canada to the south of Greenland, through Iceland, to the north of Scotland, into Scandinavia, and on into western Russia. We've got the below average height sitting to the south of the country as a cut-off feature. Cut-off low is sitting to the south. So what this is doing, it's bringing cold air in across the country from the east and from the northeast, with the cut-off low down to the south, the high pressure up to the north. Yeah, we're definitely bringing colder air in from the east. Now, on the GFS, the above average heights isn't quite as extensive. It doesn't extend from central Russia through to Canada. Nevertheless, it's still a big area of above average heights sitting to the north and the northeast of the country, stretching from Iceland to the north of Scotland into Scandinavia. And again, it's the same idea with the cut-off low down to the south of the country. So again, the idea is that we're very much bringing in east or northeasterly flows across the country in 8 to 10 days time. That is a cold looking signal. Perhaps not desperately cold. I don't think either of these charts are severely cold because we haven't got the pool of severely cold air over the continent yet. It's only November, it's not January. But nevertheless, several degrees below average, and certainly a cold feel is likely on both of these anomaly charts were they to come off. GFS temperature ensembles have trended colder. You remember we looked at these, I think it was on Tuesday, and we had quite a big split. Well, there's good agreement now that we're heading into quite a below average phase. So remember, the red line is where we should be. We're going to be below average for the next day or so. Then we're going to pick up above average over the weekend, although it'll be under high pressure, so you won't necessarily feel it. There'll be quite a lot of low cloud and sort of misty weather, I think, around over the weekend. As we go into the start of next week, yep, we're plunging down below average, and we're staying below average then, if this is right, for several days. We're staying under the red line pretty much for the rest of the ensemble, although of course as you get late on into the ensemble towards the end of November, you do then get a little bit of scatter. But overall, that looks like a good week of below average temperatures. And with that, those below average temperatures, there is some precipitation being suggested here. We have got precipitation spikes, and that, with the below average temperatures, particularly for elevation, could give a risk of some wintry conditions through next week. The temperature anomalies from the 14th to the 21st of November, very interesting, showing that we're below average across the British Isles, as is much of Central and Western Europe. We're in those blue colours there, so temperature anomalies are anything up to 2 to 4 degrees below the November average. And that's true for France and Spain, Portugal, much of Germany and Belgium and Holland as well. You've got to go to Scandinavia and the east of Europe to find the above average temperatures. So this is the chart for Monday, and this is when the change is happening. We're bringing the cold front down from the northwest on Monday. That moves through, and then we pull down this cold northerly wind behind that cold front as we go into Tuesday. Follow the isobars back. They back right up towards the Arctic, going up into the North Pole. So that is proper cold air coming southwards on Tuesday. Now, I've got to watch out through Tuesday because we could bring some sort of system down across the country. That is certainly the suggestion on this morning's GFS run anyway, the midnight run of the GFS, that there's some sort of trough moving south in that cold flow. And look what it does as we go into Tuesday evening and on into midnight on Wednesday. It develops that trough into an area of low pressure across England and Wales. That's coming down in very cold air, so that would be bringing the risk of rain, sleet and snow, yes, snow, down across the country. And it's difficult to say just how heavy or widespread that snow could be, but it certainly is coming down in very cold air. Here's the upper air temperatures, showing that a -5 iceberg is pretty much covering the whole of the country. A -5 iceberg is the minimum requirement, really, for snow. Dew points, always very important for snow, suggesting that for much of the country, the dew points are below freezing. That's really a reflection of the humidity in the atmosphere. When the dew points go below freezing, that's a very, very good indicator for snow. It's almost certainly snows when the dew points are below freezing if you've got precipitation. And yeah, most of the country has dew points below freezing at midnight on Wednesday. So best precipitation at midnight on Wednesday, suggesting that for England and Wales there is a risk of rain, sleet and snow. We've also got snow showers up to the north of the east country. Now, of course, this is a long way off. This is very much in the realms of fantasy, really, with this system coming down from the north. But it just sort of indicates the potential that there is with this northerly wind. If we get disturbances in the flow, the air does look more or less cold enough to deliver some snow to some parts of the country. Now, as we go out beyond that, the low pressure, again, there it is at midnight on Wednesday, will move away to the south and the southeast, and then we build this high pressure to the north of Scotland. We back the winds around to the east. We start to pull easterly winds in across the country. Now, remember, the North Sea is still pretty warm. It isn't at its warmest now. Has cooled a little bit from late summer, early autumn, but even so, it's still pretty warm across the North Sea. So actually, when we bring this easterly wind in, temperatures will likely pick up a little bit. Certainly in the upper atmosphere, we'll lose those dew points below freezing, I think, particularly across England and Wales. But nevertheless, with that easterly wind, it will still feel quite cold. And the suggestion from the GFS is that we'll develop another area of low pressure in the North Sea on Friday. That bring heavy rain in across England and Wales. I think it'd be really cold rain. Temperatures no better than 4 or 5 degrees probably. But I think that would be rain because, as I say, the air off the North Sea is pretty warm in terms of the upper air. You don't feel it on the surface. It's very cold and miserable, but it probably lowers the or increases the dew points enough to allow most of this to be rain. Although once you get up towards the Pennines, then you will probably have to start thinking about snow from that area of low pressure. And that's how we go through to the day 10. So the situation, big area of high pressure eventually sets up over Western Russia and Scandinavia. Low pressure trying to come into that high pressure, so it keeps it unsettled with showers or longer spells of rain, maybe wintry conditions over high ground. But the basic idea is that temperatures would be remaining several degrees below average. It would be remaining cold. ECMWF shows that we bring that cold front down from Monday into Tuesday, so we get the northerly wind. All models are in agreement that we get this northerly wind, so that's the key point for early next week. We do get the northerly. That's how we go into Wednesday, midnight on Wednesday. Doesn't have that low pressure developing within the flow, so that's a bit of a disagreement between the ECM and the GFS. Nevertheless, it's cold and there will be potential for some wintry conditions. Now, the ECM then builds the high pressure over the country, so we maintain cold weather and it turns dry, whereas the GFS wants to bring low pressure systems in from the east later next week and turn it very wet. The ECM will keep it cold and mainly dry. There'll be some hard, possibly quite severe actually, overnight frost under this area of high pressure. And that's how we go into day 10, still with the high pressure really maintained across the country, keeping it cold and probably quite frosty and foggy as well. Finally, the GEM, the Canadian model, we bring that weather system down on Monday. By the way, there is the risk that this front could stall across the country through the course of Monday. On the northern edge, we will be having to watch out for some snow over northern England, so that's another one to keep an eye on. And then as we go beyond that into Tuesday, well, there's the northerly wind blasting down across the country, so again, the top three models all agreeing that we get this northerly wind. As we move through into the middle of next week, we maintain that northerly wind on the GEM. So it remains cold throughout next week, really, and eventually we start to build the high pressure up to the north and northeast of the country. So it goes from Scotland in towards Scandinavia. So again, we pull this easterly wind in across the country through towards the day 10 sort of mark. There we are on day 10, Sunday the 24th of November, bringing in this easterly wind. That's cold. It's bringing less cold air than the northerly off the North Sea, but it is still cold. There would be wintry showers possible with that, particularly in the north, but temperatures will be staying several degrees below average. So it does look as though we're definitely going to get that northerly, I think, early next week. All models are in agreement on that, and I think we're closest to the time frame to say that we are going to get that northerly. Now, beyond that, it does look as though there's a very good evidence this morning that we're setting up quite a prolonged cold spell. Now, I'm not talking about severe cold, I'm not talking about widespread snowfall, the sort of things that you read in the papers are not right. We're not going to be covered in snow and turn into sort of an Arctic wilderness. But nevertheless, I think we are going to have at least 5 days, possibly more, of below average temperatures. That is a prolonged cold spell. And there will be some wintry conditions at times. It's too far away to firm up on that, but the GFS certainly is the most wintry of the runs through the middle of next week anyway. And yeah, I think we're setting up quite a prolonged sort of cold spell for the next week to 10 days. So very interesting weather. It's early days for this cold to be arriving, so it'll be interesting to see whether this is a foretaste of what the winter has in store for us. And we're going to have to keep monitoring it, but I do think the Snow Watch page will be starting to come into its own a little bit over the weekend and into next week. So that'll be one of the pages to keep watching over the coming week or so. That's it for now. Hope you found the video interesting. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.